Yo. Welcome into the ChrisBeCappinn show, man. Today is July the 22nd. We have a ton of games on the board, actually 6 of them. So pretty much the whole league plays today. And it kind of took me back to the NBA season, man. I don't enjoy this many games to, kind of cipher through a handicap, but it does make you a lot sharper because you can't spend as much time. Time is of the essence. You don't give us so much. So let's jump into it, man. Let's see, today is Wednesday. So on Monday, I had 2 plays. I played the first half under between Golden State and Washington. Game soared over the total. It never had a chance. Washington had probably their best offensive performance, and Golden State probably had their worst defensive performance, but also was able to score the basketball. Both teams probably had one of their worst defensive performances. So that one soared over the total. The other play was, and I think I left it with you guys, was Seattle plus the 10.5 against the Minnesota Lynx, which we'll talk about again today. That game did end up getting there. Seattle almost won the game outright. They ended up losing by 3. So 1-1 split for me. And yeah, I think that was it. So no harm, no foul. Let's jump into it for today. We'll start off with Jackson, AI Sports Betting Tool, linked in the description of the video. Jackson, like the Caleb McBride look the other day. And that got there easily. She cashed just on her threes alone. So I wanted to run that same prompt back today. I asked Jackson to analyze the WNBA slate to identify the highest value opportunities for player props, focus on lines that show a significant discrepancy against 5-game rolling averages, tracking changes in usage rates due to injuries or favorable defensive matchups, specifically targeting matchups and points, rebounds, and assists. Please provide the underlying data, the underlying metrics and reason for each recommendation. So Jackson's favorite prop today is actually Natasha Howard of the Minnesota Lynx over her 9.5 rebounds and assists. It says that it's plus 108 on Bet Rivers. It says that she's been on an absolute tear recently, significantly outperforming her season average. Over her last 5 games, she's averaging a staggering 12.4 combined assists plus rebounds, which is nearly 30% higher than today's line of 9.5. Her 10-game rolling average is even higher at 12.6. She's hit the specific line in 100% of her last 5 games and 90% of her last 10. The Minnesota Lynx are facing a critical depth issue today with superstar Nafisha Collier ruled out, which that's not true. Fee is coming back today, which is why you got to always do your own homework. It says that it provides a massive. Collier's absence vacates a massive amount of usage and rebounding opportunity, which some of those will be taken away in today's game. Howard is already responsible for 24.1% of the team's total rebounds over the last 5 games. The matchup analysis, Seattle defense ranks 15th against Howard position for this prop, placing them right in the middle of the league. However, Seattle allows 35.6 rebounds per contest as a team. Howard has already shown she can exploit this matchup, averaging 10.5 assists plus rebounds in 2 meetings against Seattle during this 2026 season. So the only thing, and I'll show you guys the numbers that Jackson was talking about. But the only thing with that prop is that Fee does come back today, and we'll talk about that in just a second. So let's jump into it, man. 6 games. I'm gonna try to get through them really, really quickly. I'll give you guys my notes, let you guys know which 3 that I do have 3 official plays that I will be sharing, and we'll get out of here, man. So first up, we got the Minnesota Lynx and the Seattle Storm. Again, the rematch. So these 2 teams, of course, did just play. And I do want to note that this is an early game. It's a 3 o'clock start time game. 3 o'clock start time game. And one more 3 o'clock start time game. Phoenix and Seattle, Los Angeles, which we'll talk about in just a second. And before I jump into this game, I do want to say this as well. It's the last night before, or last day of action before the All-Star break. So I was going through and looking at some numbers. So last season, the totals were 9-2 to the over in the last 3 days of play before the All-Star break, including 4-1 to the over the last day. So kind of like in the NBA, we always talk about these teams not coming to, play a lot of defense right before they get to the All-Star break. Remember, they're human. They want to go on vacation. They want to, let their hair down, kind of chill and enjoy themselves as well. So might not be as much defense played. Now, with that being said, we'd have some really high totals on the board for today. Matter of fact, we only have one total that's below 170. So the books have kind of caught up, and I talked about this last week. The books are kind of catching up. we're putting these totals so high. Now, can these teams still score? Are we seeing a league that, is playing at the fastest pace in a really long time? Absolutely. So take all that information, do what you want, and let's jump into this first game. So injury report wise, let me just double check it. If I can find my injury report. Here we go. I'm like, hold on, where is it? All right. So I know Sammy Wickham is off the report. Yeah, Phoenix has nobody listed. And then Kiana Williams is game time decision. Kelsey Plum is listed as out. So I did bet this game. Well, actually, I'm talking about the wrong game. Seattle and Minnesota. My fault. I bet this game too. So Fee is listed as probable, which means the Minnesota Lynx has nobody on the injury report. And then Seattle only has Ezzy listed as out. So Fee coming back, of course, I think we're gonna see what it do, but I would think that, Minnesota is such a well-oiled machine. I don't think that they would have rushed Fee back. I think she's probably gonna be in pretty good form now. You can't replicate, the action of actually playing in a game. So I think the team is going it could take Minnesota's well-oiled machine as far as the way that they run offense. I think it could take a while for her to kind of get her feet back wet. It's not the easiest interior to score against, even though Fee can score from all three levels. For Minnesota, it is their second straight road game. They've won 6 of their last 8. They won 6 in a row, 8 of their last 10, but they failed to cover in 8 straight, and now they played in 8 straight overs. So this total is up. It was 176. I think the other day was 174.5. It opened at 176, and now it's all the way up to 179.5. I don't want to get to the number late, but both of these teams have been playing overs. Seattle has lost 5 in a row, but they've covered 5 of their last 6. They've also played in 4 straight overs. Second game for them home after the 5-game road trip. Minnesota has now won both games against Seattle. They covered the first one in Minnesota, but then, of course, that high-scoring game the other night where Minnesota shot 49% from the field, Seattle shot 50% from the field, and both teams shot above 40% from the three-point line in that game. So maybe some regression here. I'm not looking to play unders, though. So for me, it's Seattle, right? I think you just continue to play Seattle at the crib. If they can cover that game with, would it be in their first game back home off a 5-game road trip or 6-game road, 4-game road trip, however long it was, I think that they can definitely get another cover here. Again, the Lynx just aren't covering, and Seattle took them to the brink. I think that they'll do it again. Seattle's now 8-2 against the number when they're getting points as a home dog, and they've covered 7 in a row. So I'll play on that trend. Also 7-3 to the over in those games. They're averaging right about 176 points. But yeah, they played in 4 straight overs as well in this spot. And they're just able to score the basketball. So I'm on Seattle again in this spot. I'm gonna take them to get another cover in this game. From a player prop perspective, really quickly, there is the Natasha Howard look that I wanted to just show real quick, and then we'll get through the next game. I won't be going back and forth through Outlier a lot today just because it's such a big slate, and I'm gonna try to make the show about the same amount of time. So Leah Boston, somebody else I was looking at. But yeah, Natasha, if we look at Natasha Howard, her rebounds and assist line is what Jackson was liking. You can see that she's been crushing this number. So 9.5 is the number. You can see that she's cleared it in 7 straight games. She just played against the same team, had 15 rebounds, 15 point rebounds plus assists with 12 boards and 3 assists in that game. This is a Seattle team that I think eventually they're gonna figure it out defensively. Maybe they need Ezzy to be a part of that. Dominique Malunga and Awa Pham are really good offensive players. They're just not putting together defensively right now. So I do think that, you can see it here, right? They give up a ton of rebounds, even though they have so much length. And then they also, bottom 5 in assists allowed as well. So I do think that Natasha Howard should be able to get busy, even though Fee is going to steal a few of her minutes for sure in this game. All right, so that's my thought process on that first game. For me, I'm on Seattle, man. I'm going to keep riding them as the dog at the crib, getting 10 points in this game. The next game is let's see. There we go. All right. Next game is Phoenix and Los Angeles, and I did bet this one as well. I do got to bet in this game as well. So injury report wise, we have Sammy Wickham off, so clear for Phoenix, and then the Sparks. I talked about this. Kelsey Plum, the only person listed, is out. So Phoenix finally got a win. They ended their 5-game losing streak when they beat Connecticut after losing to Connecticut in the previous game. And then on the Sparks side of things, it's their first game home off a 4-game road trip. They've Lost all 4, but they have covered 5 of their last 6. And back-to-back unders against the Dallas Wings and the Chicago Sky. Those totals are getting high for this Sparks team. And I think they've been hovering around 85 points in those last 2 games, but not enough to get them up and over these numbers. So third matchup of the season, LA has won both of the first 2. They beat won both games in Phoenix as well. So you got a double revenge spot here for Phoenix. Both of the first 2 went over the number. However, the last one did go to overtime. I was looking through some things. First off, teams coming home off a 4-game road trip, not a great spot. Only cover about 45% of the time. This season, that's historically about 37.5% this season, 10-6 to the over. As a favorite, they are only 38% ATS as well. And this season, just 22.2%. So that says to fade the Los Angeles Sparks. You got a Phoenix team that is 7-6 when they're catching points on the road. So about 54% of the time they cover, one in every almost about 50%, but they have covered 3 in a row. I'm sorry. They have covered 3 of their last 4 in this spot. So Phoenix, not necessarily playing their best basketball, but I will take them early in this spot. I was just looking through some things, and this was actually the last bet that I made, but looking at Phoenix, first off, I looked at Phoenix and I talked about this in the last game. They got Natasha Mack back. I think that was, really, really helpful for them. They've just been so much better in the first quarter, in the first half, than they've been for the full game. And just to kind of put some numbers to that, when you look at Phoenix, they're getting outscored by about a point in the third quarter and about a little bit less than half a point as road dogs, throughout as road dogs so far this season. But if you look at them earlier in games, specifically if they have Natasha Mack in, they're doing really, really well in the first half. And I don't really want them without Natasha Mack. I think her defensively being able to slow down Dearica Hamby and, Nneka Ogwumike, I think are going to be important in this game. I just don't trust the Phoenix Mercury for the full game. So when Natasha Mack in, if they're a road dog, they win in the first quarter by 3. And then it don't really get too much better after that. So I think first half makes the most sense with the Sparks coming home off the long road trip. I looked at the Sparks as well without Kelsey Plum in, and they're starting games off super slow, -4 in the first quarter. And you got them laying a point here. I don't think so. And without Kelsey Plum at home, they're actually getting outscored by about 4 points in the first quarter as well before they start to wake up. And I think that's what we see in this game. I think the earlier start time kind of favors the road team in my opinion. So I'll take Phoenix. I took them first quarter plus a half a point in that game. And I think I got a plus 100. I think they could potentially win the game too, but I don't know, man. Phoenix is not trustworthy in my opinion. So that's my thought process on that game. Alyssa Thomas, stuff would definitely not be off my radar. Her assists or, potential her rebounds as well. I think those are definitely live in this spot as well. All right, so moving along, we got Chicago and New York. This line has come down now to 7.5. Yesterday, this was 10.5, and I think it had went up to 11 as well. Right now, this is down to, 7.5. Total up 179 and a half. It's a 178 out there as well. So looking at the injury report really quickly, we have Dejanay Carrington and Skylar Diggins-Smith out. And then on the New York side of things, no Phoebus, no Satu Sabli, and then Maureen Johannes is also listed as questionable. So I couldn't understand this line why it was 10.5. I thought that it would drop, and it did. I did bet this one early, so I won't talk about it too much, but I got plus 10.5 yesterday. I was surprised that this didn't drop. We know that, Chicago has been playing some pretty good basketball. They have 2 days rest, coming off a 2-point loss to Atlanta where they probably could have won that game. They've covered 4 in a row. So Chicago isn't necessarily winning games, but they are covering. And they did beat the Sparks recently as well. New York, not the greatest spot for them, coming off the overtime game for 1 against Dallas, where they won by just 1 point without Paige Beckers. It's their first game back home off a 4-game road trip. That's typically a flat spot. I gave you guys those numbers earlier. They failed to cover 3 straight now and 4 of their last 5. I mean, they're barely even winning games. So definitely not laying double digits with this New York team. They did win the first matchup against Chicago, but even then, that was in Chicago. They won that game by 1. They were laying 10.5 in that spot as well. So, yeah, I'm on Chicago, man. I looked at teams coming off overtime games with, the rest disadvantage in their favorite. They only cover about 42% of the time. If they're coming off an overtime game with the rest advantage in their home favorite, only cover about 32% of the time. And then teams that are coming off an overtime game laying double digits with the rest disadvantage are 0-2 ATS, failing to cover by about 7 points per game. The Sky, interestingly enough, are 2-0 this season when they're getting double digits coming off again, getting double digits and covered by about 10 points. So they won one of these games and then lost the other one to the Atlanta Dream that we just talked about. They lost by 1 and they lost by 2. So both of those games went over the total. I consider Sky Team total over as well, but yeah, I'm not playing on the Liberty. So again, I was going to be quick with that one. I don't know if I would touch it at 7.5. I still think I would touch it at 7.5, but I did get an early 10.5 with Chicago in this spot yesterday. All right, so hit the like if you can, subscribe if you guys are not, and let's get through these last 3 games really quickly. We have next on the list the Las Vegas Aces and the Washington Mystics. So line in this one was at 5.5, 6, and that's currently where it still is. Injury report wise, we have let me just double check something real quick. All right, cool. Injury report wise, we have no Kirsten Bell. Yamamoto is also out after signing with the Aces a couple of days ago. And then on the Mystic side of things, they should have everybody in. So Vegas is coming off a pretty easy game. They beat Toronto by 26, laying 10.5 2 nights ago. That game flew over to 181.5, and they had 8 days off of rest before that game. On the Washington side of things, they're coming off their biggest win of the season. They beat Golden State 90-82 as an 8.5-point dog. They've covered 3 of their last 4. It's their first game back home off the 2-game Western Conference road trip where they played Golden State in back-to-back games. This is a game, man, where I really don't have a lot of thoughts, man. I never know what I'm gonna get from the Washington Mystics. Can they come in here and hang with this with this Las Vegas team? Yes, I don't like the travel spot, trying to get all the way back from the West Coast all the way back to the East Coast. And the Aces, I think, are just much more well-rested team. Do they care about this game and winning by multiple possessions? I think that they still can, and I agree. I think this line is going up, and I think it's going up for a reason. It's really difficult to want to fade the Mystics because this is typically their role when they're a dog. Let's see real quick. Mystics this season, 12-4 ATS, so they cover about 75% of the games. They lose by an average of 3 points. 9-6-1 to the under as well. If they're a home dog, they are 5-1 ATS. So this is typically their spot. These games have been against the Valkyries. They didn't win or cover that game. But outside of that, Dream, Lynx, Fever, Sky, Liberty, they covered all of those games. And all those games, they were getting single digits as well. They were getting 9 against the Lynx and end up losing that game by 2. So they only have one loss this season by at home by more than 5 points, and that was the game against the Valkyries. Now the Aces are better than the Valkyries, but you just don't. I don't know. I think. You know what? Let's just look at something real quick. Aces away favorites, previous win. Aces off a win are 6-1 straight up, 4-3 against the number. Let's see. They typically win by most of these games are. They got one loss in here that was by 30. But the rest of these wins are about 8, 16, 10, 7 against the Sun, 29 against the Sun at the beginning of the season. Yeah, I don't really know what to do with this game, man. I think I'm going to stay away from it. The total did go up from 162.5 to 165.5. I just think the Aces play so fast. Maybe the Mystics can keep up with pace. Not a game that I was going to think that I'm going to be betting today, though. I also consider Asia Wilson potentially under her boards just because Washington is such a great rebounding team. They don't give up a lot of boards, but again, they are traveling from West Coast to East Coast. I think I would want to fade the Washington Mystics in this game, but I'll probably end up staying off the game. All right, next one, Connecticut, Indiana. I don't have as many thoughts on this one either. Injury report needs to clear just a tad bit. Brittany Griner is questionable. Sanaya Rivers is questionable. That means a lot, in my opinion, offensively and defensively for this team. Aaliyah Edwards is out, which also means a lot. And then Anisha Morrow is back. She's not on the injury report. Caitlin Clark is listed as probable. So for Connecticut, third straight road game, they played the back-to-back with Phoenix. They split, won the first one, and then shorthandedly lost the second one. And only scored 63 points in that game. I think it was 63 points. On the Indy side of things, back-to-back wins. They beat Seattle, didn't cover, but then beat New York and did cover. They played 4 of their last 5. They won 4 of their last 5 and 7 of their last 10. They've also played 4 of their last 5 over the total and 7 of their 10 over the last 10 over the total as well. A 4th straight home game for them, 3 days of rest. It should be a spot where we see a bunch of points in this game. I do think that Connecticut's offense is good enough to keep up. Indiana just plays so fast that I think that we'll see this game go over the total. So I agree with the total going up. I wrote down 176.5 in my notes yesterday, and it's up to 178. I didn't bet it, but that's the way that I would look. I looked at teams that are playing their fourth straight home game, and they're laying double digits, and they're coming off back-to-back wins with the rest advantage. And those games are 4-0, dating back about 3 years ago, going over by about 9 points per game. Connecticut's also 3-0 to the over as double-digit dogs this season. All three of those games are going over the number as well. But this is an extremely high total. So not betting unders again, the day before the All-Star break. So that's my thought process on that game. Didn't really look too deeply into player props either. I do think the injury report is important in this game because I would want to know what's going on with Brittany Griner, and I would want to know what's going on with Sanaya Rivers, especially with them already being down Aaliyah Edwards. So that's my thought process on that game. The last game is Dallas and Portland. And this one, in my opinion, is unplayable at the moment because Paige Beckers is listed as questionable. Alana Smith is listed as questionable. Not that she really matters a lot because Jessica Shepard's been playing so well. On the opposite side of things, Carly Samuelson is off the report. And then Megan Dilo, I probably butchered that. Dalio? I think it's Dalio. Yeah, we'll go Dalio. Gustafson, formerly Gustafson, recently married, is also not on the report after missing, I think, the last two games for this Portland team. So for Dallas, it's their first road game after 3 straight home games. They're coming off the loss to the New York Liberty by 1. Third game in 4 nights for them as well because of the back-to-back with the back-to-back with the Sparks in the Liberty game. They snapped the 6-game losing streak with that 1-point loss to New York the other day. And of course, they didn't have Paige in that game. Now, Paige is with them. I did see, a post of her getting on the plane. She has some sweats on. So she is going to be with them. For Portland, it's their first game home off a 4-game road trip. So 13 we've talked about today, playing their fourth game off, their first game home off a 4-game road trip. I talk about this spot a lot, not being a good spot. 3 days of rest, though. They have played 8 of their last 10 on the road as well. And they've been scoring the basketball and giving up a lot of points as well because they're not good defensively. But 7-3 to the over in the last 10. They've covered 6 of their last 7 as well. Kind of disrespected team. They typically play hard at home. They did win the first matchup when Dallas came to town. Paige was out of that game as well. They were getting 3.5 in that game, and that game stayed under the 167.5 total. So as much as I want to bet under, this is probably my favorite one I like. I think I'm going to end up staying off. We definitely need to know what's going on with Paige. But I was looking at a couple of different things. First of all, if we're talking about just unders, this was interesting. Teams that have covered 6 of their last 7 games, and they play 4 of their last 5, all 4 games on the road, and now they're home, are actually 9-2 to the under. 8 straight unders dating all the way back to 2016, and they stay under by a nice average as well. If they are home dogs in those games, 3-0 to the under. In that same trend, staying under by about 11 points per game. And then I looked at the Wings. They're 7-1 to the under, coming off a loss this season, staying under by about 8 points per game. And then teams in general that have played 8 of their last 10 games on the road, and they're home dog 11-5 to the under as well. So if Paige doesn't play, this total is going to drop. And I do think that we potentially could see an under in that spot. Dallas doesn't play super fast. Portland doesn't play super fast. I think Dallas matches up pretty well defensively with Portland. Portland, of course, is going to match up a lot better with Dallas if Paige Becker doesn't play either. But, again, going into the All-Star break, not sure if I'll get there. This is one that I would be betting under, though, if I was betting anything at all in this one. So those are my thoughts, man. Like I said, a lot of games. What I did bet is listed here. I think everything outside of Chicago plus 9.5 is currently still available. And I'll just let's see what we can get the best number. I'll put that on the screen as well, even though I don't know if I will bet it. I would definitely need to see what's going on with Paige. So let's make this red. And it looks like the best number you can get right now. So much for making it red. Dallas. Portland under 175.5. It looks like is the number. Definitely need to know if Paige is going to play though. So yeah. That's what I like, man. Player prop wise, I talked about Natasha Howard and Leah Boston over her 21.5 points plus rebounds. She's been crushing that number. Not crushing it, but she's been going over that consistently as well. And Brittany Griner's not going to play. Should be a ton of more rebounds, even though Connecticut is a pretty good rebounding team. So that's what I like for today, man. Resources all linked in the description. Jackson, Outlier, Moneyballer, Odds Jam. Hopefully I didn't get through the show too slow. Just wanted to give you guys all my notes, all my thoughts and opinions. Hit the like if you can. Subscribe to the channel. You guys enjoy the games. Enjoy your Wednesday. Enjoy the break, man. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.